Hello everyone and welcome to the F1 2016 career mode. I am Psycho Enigma and I have been waiting for this game for a long time. It's career mode. We're setting up our full qualifying length, the race distance that we're going to be having as we step in to the legend difficulty career mode. For now, this was all like brand new by Codemasters. They completely overhauled the career mode of the previous games. Completely overhauled. It's actually F1 2015. It's just a vast improvement. Vast. You can see you've got your profile creation to create an avatar. You can customize your helmet, your driver number. I picked my favorite, number 25. You step into your team. You can pick any team to begin with. I wanted myself a challenge, and I've picked a team that's got some heritage in the world of Formula One. So I went with Renault, who are of course back on the grid. You can just see some difficulty settings and some settings that I was doing for today. Oh, hello, what we got here?
Hi, I'm Emma Jenkins. I'm a specialist in contract law and I've been brought in to work as your agent. I'll be working to get you the best deal in the boardroom, which means you need to do the best possible job out there on the circuit. When you get new contract offers, either from new teams or an amendment to your existing offer, it'll come through me. I'll also keep you up to date on discussions behind the scenes to change your terms, or any specific goals that the team has set for you. If a contract offer does come through, I'll present to you the available offers and then you can make the call. I assume that all sounds fine. Well then, good luck this season, and I'll catch you later.
You will indeed, Emma, because it is clearly known. Dear Simon, welcome to Renault Formula One team. You can be our second driver alongside your teammate Kevin Magnussen. I wanted to pick someone who's going to be able to support me. Sorry, Jolyon Palmer, you might be British, but you've had an iffy season so far. Look at that paddock here in Melbourne. It's beautiful. It really is. One of the big new features is the paddock, and I picked Renault Sport just because of the heritage of an engine supplier from, the 80s, the 90s, especially with Williams Renault, and then as their own constructor, and they're back this season. So I wanted to make Renault great again, as it were. So we're here. This is some of the laptop. This is essentially your hub for the career mode. And we've got full practice, nothing really too special. Australia is the first round, which isn't one of my strongest tracks, if I'm honest.
Welcome to Melbourne, where the practice session is about to start for this weekend's Australian Grand Prix. The pre-race talking is over. Now it's time for the drivers to show their worth. A lot of focus is naturally on the drivers, but it's really important for the mechanics to get everything right as well, as one little mistake could cost the team and one of their drivers the race result.
These guys are so meticulous and they train and perfect everything that they do. Without question, they feel the pressure in the same way as the drivers, and they share the responsibility to ensure that the car makes it to the end of the race.
Well, here we go. It's practice one. So it's time to jump into some of the new elements of practice, because they've actually, Cody's made it important. Shut up, tutorial. Cody's made it practice important this year with the ability of the R&D and the fact that the tests that you complete. Shut up, Jeff. I'm talking, not you. But you've got the practice programs, track acclimatization, which you're going to see, tyre management, and the qualifying pace. Essentially, if you do really well and you meet the team's expectations, you get research points to be able to upgrade facilities of your car. So very yellow, sort of with the Renault, quite vibrant, I must admit. That's the downside of my choice, but I'm prepared to go with the Renault. So I did a drive out for my first lap on the medium compound tyre for this track acclimatization. And the one thing I'm going to say, as you're probably going to hear, the V6s and the Renault engine in this game actually genuinely just sound great. Like, really, really good. Just flicking through some of the camera options, see if there was anything new. I don't think there was. But, just easing my way in, new heads-up display, and getting myself set to my preferred camera, which is the TV pod offset cam. I remember when it first got introduced in F1 2010 thinking, no one will ever use this, and I use it religiously. I don't know why. You know, I can't drive in any other camera now because of this one. So just flicking through some of the menus and just understanding how the car might feel, not at, you know, full racing speed, but we'll be getting onto our track acclimatization lap fairly shortly. And here we go. This was actually quite funny on the out lap, you know, hitting the curb and obviously understanding that the downforce of the Renault not quite there yet as we binned it off into the gravel. We've got some grit on our tyres. But here we go now, firing out of the final corner, DRS activated and across the line. So the track acclimatization essentially is to learn the track. You pass through these gates. If you do it at essentially an optimum speed, you'll get a purple and a good score. If you do it sort of a bit bleh, you get green as like you'll still get points, but just not as many. And your goal is to hit the target score for the lap to be able to get those research and development points that I mentioned. As you can see, I missed gate 3. So if you miss any one of them or do it just really, really bad, it's a red. And as you can see, like, I've been playing Formula 1 games for years. I think the only time I didn't play them was when they stopped making them, as it were. So yeah, there was a period between 06 and 09 where they just didn't make them. And I was just getting used to the handling characteristics of this Renault. It felt very heavy. Heavy and cumbersome is how I would describe the Renault. And based upon the fact it's got a Renault engine, it doesn't exactly have the power and the grunt to push it forward. But Australia has been on the calendar for so long, I feel like I know the track fairly well. Now, don't get me wrong, that means I'm still prone to making the odd mistake, just on the basis of the car handling. But I enjoy Australia. Australia is... It's never a track I've gone well at, but I like it. Like, I know that makes no sense. I like the vibe. It feels like one of those old school tracks, and it's a good season opener, if I'm honest, you know. Because it always tends to throw out some unpredictability. 2014, McLaren Mercedes come in second and third, everyone being like, oh my god, they're so good, and then they were just awful that season. Coming across the line to complete our first track acclimatization lap, and we hit the green score, which gets us 30 research points, but ideally we want to get the perfect score of the 50, so we're going to go around one more time. And you can see just snaking about there. But it's good. I like the fact that practice now means something. The fact that other than just essentially, I mean, I never really did practice. I think the only time I ever spent a lot of time in practice, there was an achievement on F1 2011 to just do like, I think it was like 500 laps or something in practice, so I did that. That was just me blasting around at qualifying pace and not really, you know, bothering with the setup. So it's good that it matters, and you get like these small additional team objectives worth an additional 25 resource points, and they essentially are like do a good sector in this test or do that. But there's other things like go out twice with 2 different setups in a session and hit top speed, that sort of thing. So they're going to differ from track to track, which is what I like. You know, the 3 programs that you do are always going to be there. But the team objectives, those extra 25 points, are always going to be a little bit different. So, you know, you're not just hitting those mundane little objectives. The track acclimatization this lap, as you've seen, has gone a lot better. We haven't missed anything as of yet because we got our eye in on the first banker lap, just taking extra care. This final section, I've always found it so tricky, especially trying to get the power on. But we did a lot better through the final corner. Get that DRS open, and you'll find that did we hit it? No, we just shy by 5 points. And I think then did we complete this final lap? I can't remember. Yes, we do. We complete the final lap, and then just to show you the simulation damage, I bunged it in the wall. Actually, I didn't do it on purpose. That was completely on accident. So the tyre management test. This thing was the bane of my life. Absolutely of my life. I cannot stand this test because, so essentially the aim of this test is to do a lap while keeping that bar in the green or the purple, preferably the purple because that gets you the most points while you do this test. As you can see, you also have to hit a target lap time as of the far right, and then we just binned it again in the far chicane, and that completely butchered that lap absolutely awfully. So then we come around again, and look, just going offline, it ruins those tyres. And we got an invalid time, and then Massa coming in and being a smart guy here and knocking off a bit of our front wing. So Then we move on to the qualifying pace. The qualifying paces are much more fun. None of this finicky, ease on the throttle. It's, here's 3 laps, super soft tyres, go as fast as you can. As you can see, I was 2 seconds down. So I was like, nope, fuck this, I'm out. So here's the screen for the resource points, where it essentially sums up what you've earned as per the beginning part. And here's a main man. I think
Hi.
I've seen you on the internet before, mate.
Good to meet you at last. My name's Chris, and I'll be working with you as your Chief of Vehicle Development. It'll be my job to get your feedback as a driver, and to direct our upgrade design in the areas that you feel are most lacking. At each Grand Prix, we can run a series of practice programs and log the performance of the car as you drive it at its limit. This gives us data that we can utilize to develop various performance improvements. In order for me to know which upgrades to prioritize, I'll need you to select a development area that you'd like us to focus on. And you can do that in the R&D section of your laptop. Anyway, that's all for now, but I'll keep you up to date, okay? I'll see you soon.
So here we go, on the laptop, back to that hub is where you can spend your resource points. And here's the upgrades, and you can see the vehicle comparison on the right. So obviously you've got your top teams are all up there, and it staggers, and it's going to change over the season, which is great. So with our 563 points, as I mentioned earlier, I felt the Renault felt very heavy, very cumbersome. So our first update is going to be the chassis weight. Develop that, and it'll be about, I think it's like a race until that essentially comes back. So we've dropped it on that, and as you can see, our bar is now in the orange, and that indicates where it's going to go to when it's done. Oh, Emma's back.
Hey, looks like you've got a bit of rivalry going on out there. This is good. Gets people talking about you. Just make sure you outperform them, okay?
Well, there's no doubt in my mind. Driver rivalry, so yes, the rivalries are back, but they're now all season long. They're not just at the tail end of the season. Our new rival is Kevin Magnussen. You're always going to start off as a rival as your teammate.
Hi, it's Emma. Your qualifying goals came up in the board meeting this morning. Here's what to expect.
Okay, so qualify 17 to beat Kevin Magnussen. An ideal way in Formula 1 to see how good you are is by beating your teammate. So here we go, we're at the end of our first qualifying lap now. Didn't show too much of it, because it was, it was alright. I felt a lot more hooked up than I did in practice. I don't know whether it's because it was more overcast and the cooler conditions, but again, hooked it up again, and I went about 0.6 faster. So I was pretty pleased with those. And bear in mind, this is full qualifying. And essentially, that actually got us into Q2, which, to be honest, I was surprised with. Daniel Ricciardo was disqualified, so that's probably why I got into Q2. But here we are in Q2. The sun is setting a bit more around Melbourne now, and I'm going to be honest, it was absolutely gorgeous. Like, that sunset, albeit slightly distracting, if I'm honest, it was just the way the sun hits the ground. Oh, it was beautiful. It really was. In Q2, I sort of figured, I'm not exactly going to be at the front of the grid, so I ran the soft compound tyre. And I think we're going to go through the full lap here, just because I wanted to just show you how nice this game looks. Because over the practice sessions now, over the course of the day and the race weekend, because of the time of day editor that Codemasters have put in, you're going to be seeing different days, different times, like practice sessions at Bahrain for the next episode, let's say. Your first practice session is going to be in the day, even though the race takes place at night. That's pretty cool, I liked that. As you can see, the soft tyre, which, I was surprised. I think it must have been the low fuel setup, but I was surprised by the volume of grip that we had. The Renault felt very good on low fuel, but the higher fuel is where it really, really felt a bit like, so. And here we've got Rosberg being slow in the chicane, so I wasn't a big fan of that, but we're going to get a little bit of slipstream off Rosberg while we're on our lap here. Dart over to the right, I had to take a little bit to the grass. Nothing too major, hitting the braking point nicely. Late apex into this corner. That's one of those corners I used to find difficult to get right, but once I understood it was a late apex, it was fine. It's coming up to the end of the lap now, braking just before the 50-metre board. Went a little bit wider than I would have liked. Get it tucked in for the final corner. Open the DRS. And we're going to be charging towards the line. What is the lap time we're going to set? It's a 1:29.2 on those soft tyres, which I wasn't too sad with, I'm going to be honest, and I wanted to go for another lap, but we went a little bit wide in turn 1, and now Rosberg's back. So we pretty much spent the rest of the qualifying messing with Rosberg here, holding it around the outside of him in turn 3, which was good fun. Myself and Rosberg had a good little battle. As you can see, we're now jumping as we're going down the back curve, as it were. Rosberg is on my inside. We're heading towards the far chicane that I've been having issues with all weekend, and Rosberg just bottles it at the back end. So, and he's still sitting behind us. You can see him in the wing mirrors just there. I think he's going to go for our inside. No, is he? No, he's just going to sit behind us, and you can see the delta where we were battling was just losing so much time. And it's race day.
That even a second is an eternity in Formula One, so going 4 winter months with no racing at all has seemed a very long time indeed. We're back though in Melbourne, home of the Australian Grand Prix since 1996. We go racing today then in the state of Victoria, where the drivers have 16 corners and 3.3 miles to navigate at an average lap speed of around 120 miles an hour. The close proximity of the barriers makes accidents inevitable, and recent history shows us that a safety car is not at all out of the question. I'm joined today.
So here was the strategy screen. I figured I needed to be bold with my strategy. It gives you like an estimated time, and this is what I came up with. Essentially, I really wanted to work on it and be aggressive. Here's the parade lap as well with the old manual starts. This is another new feature. So you have to hold the clutch in, build the revs, and then when it comes to release, you just let go of the clutch. You can see we bogged down a little bit on the formation lap there. But I realised I needed to go aggressive. Not so much aggressive with the strategy, but I needed to one-stop. Because the pace of the car is not going to be enough. Here's a funny thing that happened on the formation lap. Hulkenberg braking, and I didn't quite expect it. So I was like, oh, okay, that's not too bad. And then your car gets taken over because you have a collision. So myself and Hulkenberg had to sit on the grid for a while. But here we go, building to the 5 red lights for the Australian Grand Prix. And we're away. Bogging down a little bit, but the second bit at the start proves to be not so bad. Heading down to turn 1 for the first time this season. We're on the inside. You've got Gutierrez over to the left. Hulkenberg as well. We're going to take it a little bit easy. Perez turns in. The two McLarens have made contact. It puts us in a position behind Jenson Button, who's on the super soft tyre, and Fernando Alonso on the soft. So it's one of those where getting ahead of Button would be really beneficial because he's on super soft and will pull away from us. With our mediums, we can sit and hold station. Alonso holds it round the outside. Got the wider line and the better traction there. So we're up into 12th place on lap 1 as we go through the fast right-hander of turn 5. And now we come to the end of lap 1. We've gone a little bit wide there, and as I say, I tended to run a little bit wide with that corner. Rosberg leading the Grand Prix here, and here comes Jenson Button off the back. He's in the slipstream of the Renault. That Honda might not be the fastest engine, but he's there, lurking and waiting. On to lap 2. We didn't get the best run. We got hooked on that runoff area. Into turn 9 now, later on in the lap, and again we've gone wide. Perez now is up into 13th position, and he's going to be coming down our inside. Here comes Sergio Perez into this fast chicane. Not a good section of the track for us, but we hold it all the way around the outside. It was good. It was good. I mean, that's not exactly an expected overtaking opportunity. Perez, though, still wants to give it a go around our outside into this corner down here, turn 14. But no, we're going to hold it out by pushing him wide and just squeezing him out a little bit there. Back onto the end of lap 2, going wide again. That was something that I needed to work on over the course of the race. But now Perez is going to get a brilliant run out of the final corner in the slipstream. He's got Mercedes power, which is a lot more than Honda. And is he going to dive it down our inside? No, not yet. But the DRS is now active and available to be used. So here comes Hulkenberg now in the Force India. You know, the guys behind us swapping positions all the time. Hulkenberg just breezes past us with the Mercedes power, but it's very, very slow through the chicane. But he's gone. Effectively, he is gone. But now we open the DRS because we've got a bit of a train up ahead of us. We got a radio call from our engineer saying Verstappen was having issues, and he's held the guys up ahead of us, and it's allowed us to dive down the inside of Hulkenberg into turn 9, and then we're going to cut later on into the lap at the end of lap 4. As we are now up behind Verstappen here. That Tag Heuer engine, or the Tag Heuer branded Renault engine, clearly not doing him any good. As we come out the final corner with DRS, easy pickings now for someone who's running at full power. And we're now just on the fringes of the top 10. But Hulkenberg definitely coming back at us now on lap 5 into the far chicane. Hulkenberg tries to hold it, but he just doesn't turn in. And here's a replay of what happened side by side. Hulkenberg has got the move made here. We sort of just make a look, and Hulkenberg just gets driven off by ourselves. On to lap 9, the medium tyres have obviously been going long, so the guys that were just ahead of us on softs have pitted. We're behind Hamilton, still in front of Perez and the Force Indias, as Perez now, due to our bad exit, looks to get us there. Didn't want to try anything too ridiculous into that corner. So Perez gets past us now. Onto lap 10, sorry. We still stuck with him though. So we could, in essence, look to use the DRS here at the final corner, but Perez's car is just so planted with the extra downforce. But we're in the slipstream. DRS open. We're coming up behind Sergio Perez now for 5th place as more cars make the pit stop. We snake into turn 1. We do run wide, and there's been a yellow flag there. I don't know what's happened. Sergio Perez is out of the Grand Prix. What happened? On board with Perez. You see us in the wing mirror. Perez is locked up, and as he's gone to come back, oh my goodness me, what looked like a Red Bull. It was Max Verstappen, who's obviously fixed whatever issues he had, and he and Perez have made serious contact. Here is on board from Vettel, who was coming out of the pits, and you can see him there. But that incident has brought out the safety car, which led me to think that I needed to make a strategy change. So I didn't actually put it in there, but I did come in for a set of soft tyres. And now we're in 10th behind Jenson Button, and these soft tyres will look to take us. They'll be quicker than the mediums that were, of course, quite heavily worn. And we've got a green flag to go back racing. So it is the aspect of we'll take the soft tyres till later into the Grand Prix and a set of super softs to be fast at the end here. But we haven't made the best exit, admittedly. We're up into 9th due to another pit stop that was occurring at the time. But, you know, we're almost halfway through this Grand Prix, and it did really fly. Honestly, it absolutely flew past this race did. You know, for someone who doesn't tend to go well at Australia, I was expecting it to be a drag because I wasn't waiting for anything. And Rio Haryanto is in the mix just up there. Oh, and look at this now. This move on Jenson Button from a long way back due to Haryanto holding them up. Sainz now pulls into the pit lane, and we are now up into 7th. And a lap later, you've got Felipe Massa struggling on those medium tyres. Remember, the Williams tend to try and run the mediums quite a lot in F1 2016. But he was just slow, so we were able to overtake him on the inside into turn 1, into 6th place. Next up with Grosjean for 5th. We cut on to lap 19. We're already up to 4th as more cars have made their pit stops. Still running wide off of that penultimate corner. And Nico Rosberg is behind us on those medium tyres. He's going to the end of the race, so he's going to be having a look at us into turn 1 as he pulls out. And that Mercedes power is just too much for us. We can't look to do anything. We tried to almost get a switchback based on the traction, but that Mercedes just too powerful. Too powerful for us. In fact, here comes Ricciardo on soft tyres. Remember, Daniel Ricciardo started last. Bear that in mind. Daniel Ricciardo started last due to being disqualified from qualifying. He's up into 4th place with Rosberg. I don't know if he plans on taking those soft tyres to the end or not. But what a drive from Daniel Ricciardo. We're still in 5th, but do remember we have another pit stop to make for super soft tyres. And that'll be coming up pretty much anytime soon, as if you include the lap we're on, we've got 10 laps remaining. These soft tyres were pitted on the lap the safety car came out, so we've been on for about 6 or so laps now. So they'll go for another few before we have to look to come in, but those guys accelerating away from us. And we've now got Kimi Räikkönen looking to bear down on us here. And in fact, that's exactly what's happening a little bit later into the far chicane. We've again run it a little bit wide. Räikkönen's come out there on fresher, soft tyres, and he's just bolted straight past us with that Ferrari power. Quite insane to think. And then you've got Verstappen is in 10th, who was involved in that collision with Perez. Goes up to 4th on the mediums. It looks as if Daniel Ricciardo, because we'd made a position back up, but Verstappen gets run out wide, and he now falls behind Hamilton and Räikkönen. So it appears the AI into that far chicane aren't exactly the brightest. We're going to be coming in at the end of this lap. Kimi Räikkönen there up in 3rd. Sebastian Vettel is now 5th behind us in the Ferrari, so not too sure what's going on there, but Valtteri Bottas, look at that in the top left. He's leading the Grand Prix on those medium tyres, and we do not pit this lap. Interesting, I could have sworn we came in at that juncture. But no, we're going to look to take these soft compound tyres one lap longer now as Vettel just charges past us into turn 1. But goes too tight, and we're going to go round the outside of the German. There's the confirmation for the box. And Vettel now, he's going to have DRS again. Is he going to have a go at us into turn 3? He's just too far back, you see there, in the wing mirror. So we're going to keep it. And Vettel did get us by the end of that lap. But here we go, in for our pit stop. The manual pit stops where we have to brake down to the speed limit. I was very cautious on this one, but just about getting it slowed down as I did accelerate again there. Here we come in. The Renault does not sound good at low speed. I must admit, it's like a gurgle. But here we go, onto the super soft tyres now, as Ricciardo sets the fastest lap of the race. 2.4 by the Renault guys, so that's good to see. Verstappen now in 9th, so Verstappen is still down the order here. In fact, Verstappen, is he going to go past us? There he goes, yeah, there's Verstappen. I thought he was coming down the pit straight. But he's on softs, we are on super softs. So is there anything we can do about Verstappen? No, there isn't, but we cut on to lap 26. There's a yellow flag ahead. And as we jump on board with Romain Grosjean, you see a smoking Mercedes just over there. And it was indeed Nico Rosberg who is out of the race. That elevates us up into 8th place. We weren't able to catch Verstappen in any way. The Red Bull on the soft tyres was still too quick for us. But in the first race of F1 2016, in the Renault, one of the worst teams on the grid, we're going to come through to score 2 championship points. Massa was chasing us down at the end there. But we get 4 points, for 8th place. 4 points for 8th. We're going to come through and pick those up very nicely. The safety car helped us out a lot with the strategy. But Ferrari win the race in the end. Who was the man on top? It was Kimi Räikkönen in the end, who was able to step up and win that Grand Prix. And Ferrari are going to be very pleased with the beginning of their F1 2016 season. Oh, Vettel's up there as well, so it's a Ferrari 1-3 with Hamilton in second. Obviously, Rosberg retiring quite close to the end with an engine failure. Raikkonen looking a bit too happy for my liking on the podium, but there you go. He's won a race for the first time in ages. And there it is. There it is. We finished 9 seconds behind Verstappen in the end. A lot of penalties. Look at those. A lot of penalties. Vettel had a 5-second penalty by the look of it. So, yes, he did. So he would have been second.
Lots of drivers impressed me today, Crofty, but I'd say the one who impressed me the most was Daniel Ricciardo.
Daniel Ricciardo getting driver of the day. 20 seconds of 5th in that Red Bull is definitely impressive. But we're 8th. Kevin Magnussen finished 13th. We were 5 places ahead of our teammate, but crucially we got 4 points for the Renault team. And that's going to do volumes. You know, honestly, on Legend, I didn't expect to score... I want to say I didn't expect to score points, but I would have liked maybe 1 point, but to get 8th was generally quite a surprise. I like to think the safety car and the strategy had something to do with that. So here's some resource points. Get resource points for qualifying and the race. It brings our total to 257 for the end. And here's the rivalry update as it compares the race positions and fastest sectors. Because we were faster than Kevin and an overall fastest lap, we are leading this rivalry. And if we fill that bar up, we essentially, you know, beat him as a rival. We met all the driver position goals, so the team now love us, which is exactly what we want. And then we get the career score, which is just, you know, some extra bit of guff that they've added on. Essentially, I think it's just like a leaderboard, so depending on your difficulty and extra bits that you do, how well you qualify, you get points. Yeah, you know, it's cool for some people. It doesn't bother me that much. But, yeah, we're here back in the paddock in our motorhome, looking over the lake in Albert Park. This was the first part of F1 2016. I hope you have enjoyed as we look to bring Renault back to the forefront of the sport. I've been Psycho Enigma. Hit subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you all next time.